my part. I've put a way for it to hang off of the keychain. This is where my son wanted it because he wanted it to look like it was flying when it was hanging off his backpack there. All right, once we have that, we want to go ahead and save it. And then once it's been saved, we're going to go up to File and come down to Export. Okay. So when we export this, we're going to give it its name. Let's see, 1.2.6, and your name, please, because this is the file you're going to be sending to me to print, okay? This is the file that you're going to upload onto Canvas and that I will use to print. So here we go. It's going to be an STL file. So usually the Autodesk file is right up here, F3D, but we want an STL file, okay? Stereolithography is what that stands for. And that just means we're going to go do 3D printing using stereolithography. So it tells you where it's going to go, to the desktop. If you don't want it to go there, change that and hit export. Now it's going to take a hot second, so we're going to watch this. It's going to tell you when it's working on it. I believe you even, nope, it doesn't allow you to stop it. So it'll take a few seconds. Oh, there it goes. It's not a very big part, shouldn't be very complex. There we go, and it's complete. So we hit close. Now what we're going to do is, first of all, that's what you're going to send to me. But second of all, you can actually put this into the Dremel software and check it out too if you'd like. So the Dremel DigiLab 3D Slicer is in your self-service and you can download it. For those on PCs, I might have to double check with that, but everybody else should be able to get it onto their Mac. And when you open it, it looks like this. Now, this is not my favorite slicer, but a slicer is a program that takes that STL file and prepares it to go into a 3D printer, because each 3D printer uses their own coding, so it's going to give the coding for how to lay this out on there. All right, when we do this, we've got several options. We've got material. With the Dremel, it actually automatically picks out the material, or it automatically knows what kind of material you're using in there, which is kind of cool. Not in your software, but mine, because I've been connected to it. And then we can choose what kind of quality, and the quality will drastically change the print time down here, right? And then we can also choose information like how much infill we should have. So first we're going to bring in our part. So I'm going to open up a file, and it was on my desktop. Here it is, 1.2.6, Katrina Cruz, STL, that's it. And look, it goes in at the orientation that I designed it, which is not the best orientation for printing. And the reason for that is because it will require support underneath this wing and underneath this wing in order so that when it lays that filament in air, it doesn't just droop down and make a big puddle of a mess. So it will have to have support. So this is not an ideal orientation for this part. So what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to say I want this axis to go about 90 degrees, okay? And when it does that, it automatically, oh, I really don't like this slicer, it's really hard to move around in. It automatically puts it back on the print bed. So, oh, I really don't like this printer or this slicer. So if you guys figure out how to move it around better than me, more power to you. Okay, there we go. So we see it, it's flat. We also see that I have the hole sticking up. If I would have accidentally flipped it 100 or 270 degrees where this hole was down, then it would have built support underneath the wings all the way across here. This is the best orientation because the wings are going to lay flat on my bed and that little hole will be up, and they might build a little bit of support in the middle of that hole, but that's probably the only support that will be in there. So this is going to minimize my material. Actually, that could have been fun. Go ahead and check different orientations and see how much material it uses. I'm going to show you right now how to do that. So right now, my infill, I set at 20%. That means that anything beyond the standard thickness of a wall won't be solid inside of this part. They'll fill it only with 20% of the material, or 50, or 100, or look at this, starts thicker and then gets thinner, they could do a gradual, or no infill whatsoever. I would never recommend no infill because it is a very brittle part then. So we're going to start at 20%. And I'm going to come down here and hit prepare. It says it's slicing, and then it's going to start giving us some information down here. Okay, it's going to say this part will take 25 minutes to make. It'll take about 4 grams of filament, which they also measure in meters, 1.52 meters of filament. Okay, so that's not too bad of a part. Honestly, 25 minutes is pretty good. But remember, this was only about a 1/2 inch cubic part. So if you do the whole inch, you're probably looking at an hour-long print for a part. Okay. Now you can play with some of these if you're just curious. You can go to high quality and see what that does. It's probably going to use the same amount of material, the 4 grams, but the time is going to change. Oh, it does up the material just a little bit. And look at that. Now we've gone to 1 hour. So it doubles the time. You see when we look up here, the difference was that this prints about 0.2 millimeter thickness at a time, and this prints about 0.1 millimeter. Okay? So there's all these different options. I tend to print in high or medium quality. It's kind of what you get. If we do, you could try the different infills and see what that does to the time and to the material amount. This will increase material and definitely increase time. Went from 4 to 6 grams and from 25 minutes to 30 minutes. From our medium quality, from 20 to 50. So you can play with these a little bit. You are not going to use this program typically or right now to send to the printer because I will get all your files and I will go ahead and set a print because I can put a few different backpack charms on here at a time instead of just building one at a time. So I might print 3 or 4. So I will put it together. I will download it here where it says save to a file, and then I will upload it into my Dremel. Okay. But this, you can download it just that you can see what it kind of looks like. I'm going to go reprint this so that I can actually send it to the printer. But in the future, I can definitely foresee where you guys will be sending yourself. So playing around with this and feeling comfortable is not a bad idea.